नमस्कार नमस्कार नमस्कार। मेरा नाम है राजीव कुमार बजाज और मेरे साथ इस वक्त हैं एडवोकेट प्रदीप नाम्बियार जी दुबई से। प्रदीप जी नमस्कार।
सर नमस्कार।
प्रदीप जी वंदे मातरम, वंदे मातरम। जय हिंद, जय महाराष्ट्र,
वंदे मातरम।
जय हिंद, जय महाराष्ट्र, जय भवानी, जय शिवाजी। और ये आप दुबई में बोल रहे हैं।
जय भवानी, जय शिवाजी।
Wonderful, absolutely wonderful. So now the Prime Minister has made it very clear, Uniform Civil Code is coming. He says very, very clearly at a meeting in Bhopal, he was absolutely, completely clear. He could not have been more clear. He said, घर के सभी सदस्यों के लिए एक ही कानून होना चाहिए भाई, कि घर के जो प्रधान है उनके लिए एक कानून, बाकी सबके लिए दूसरा कानून, किसी और के लिए तीसरा कानून, ऐसे कोई घर नहीं चलता है, ऐसा प्रधानमंत्री जी ने बोला, which means uniform civil code is coming. That's it.
Absolutely sir. Just तेजी से उन्होंने बात किया, that is returned from USA. आज उन्होंने दिखा दिया, it's really returned from USA. He attacked the opposition unity. He said the need for uniform civil code. He said talked about Parivarvad. He talked about Parivarvad destroying the country and corruption and Parivarvad. In fact, he even talked about Sharad Pawar's 70,000 crore scam. He said आप शरद पवार जी को वोट दोगे तो सुप्रिया सुले का फायदा होगा, अगर आप बीजेपी को वोट दोगे तो जनता का फायदा होगा. He was absolutely in his best.
That's absolutely, that's really wonderful and wonderful to see. He just comes back from Egypt, he goes to the USA, look at the amount of energy the man has. I mean, I don't know when he sleeps. He goes to Egypt, has a meeting with the Egyptian president, has a meeting with the Egyptian prime minister, has a roundtable conference right there in Egypt, goes over and goes to the Al Hakim Mosque, which has been refurbished by the Saidna and our own Bora community, meets all of them, goes to the pyramids, returns to India and goes straight to Bhopal. He's back at work. In fact, he's never off work, which is absolutely amazing. I don't know. Do we have? I think we've got Ms. Aarti Sathe with us. Do we have her? Right. So let's go straight across to Aarti Sathe ji of the BJP. Aarti Sathe ji, namaskar.
Namaste.
Namaskar. Vande Mataram, ma'am.
Thank you.
And look at the Prime Minister, look at the level of energy he's got. I mean, he works 24/7 and look at the manner in which he has said very, very clearly today that the Uniform Civil Code is coming. You're a lawyer yourself, you're a senior advocate yourself. And what he said was one nation, one law, one family, one law. And in spite of all the protests which have been coming in from all over the place, from the Congress, from our dear friend Mr. Owaisi, so on and so forth, the Prime Minister is absolutely clear that this was one of the principles of the Bharatiya Janasangh carried over to the BJP, and this is bound to be implemented, just like repeal of Article 370 and of course the Ram Mandir. Aarti ji.
Yes, absolutely. I think the Prime Minister has very clearly laid out what was really the agenda or the manifesto which was of the BJP right since beginning. I think we have, given out in our manifesto itself at the beginning of every election that UCC, Ram Mandir, abolition or scrapping of Article 370, etc., were the prime, prime points in our manifesto. And we are unlike other parties who just publish a manifesto and don't really deliver on it, because manifesto in that sense really is a promise to people to stand by what the party really wants to deliver if they are voted to power. So I think BJP has always stood by the manifesto which they have declared prior to elections. Uniform Civil Code is one of the issues which was very pertinent to us, and because of which we have really stood by that. And as a result of which, I think he has very categorically said that UCC will be implemented.
And what is more, Aarti ji, the fact remains that the whole country knows that if anybody can actually implement the Uniform Civil Code, it is Narendra Modi, nobody else. Nobody else has the courage to do it. It is only Mr. Modi who can do it, which is absolutely fantastic. You seem to be somewhat distracted. Are you getting a lot of calls or what is it?
Sorry, I have just returned back from work, so I'm getting a few calls. I'm sorry, I'm distracted because of the call, so I had to disconnect a couple of calls in between.
Okay, fine. I mean, if you want, we can come back to you. You want to take those calls?
No.
Do we come back to you?
No, that's fine. That's fine. That's why it'll continue. Sorry.
So what I'm saying is, Mr. Owaisi says, under Article 25, I have my freedom of religion. Under Article 29, there is diversity in India. But Please correct me if I'm wrong. And Pradeep ji, of course, is with us at the moment from Dubai. He's also an advocate. Article 25, Section 2, I think says very clearly that if the government wants to bring in any law for social improvement and empowerment, religion will not stand in its way. So, I don't think the legal argument holds over here for the Uniform Civil Code, ma'am. Aarti ji.
Well, how the mechanics of bringing the Uniform Civil Code are put in place is something which, we will deliberate on later, because there are constitutional provisions. Of course, there are freedoms. There are those freedoms which are, to be given to the citizens of India, but at the same time, there are fetters on the freedom. I have never understood, in India, though of course we are a secular constitution, that why should really religion play a role in so far as personal laws are concerned. I think personal laws do need to have a uniform basis. They need to be standardized for everybody living in the country, because if that's the, if you are abiding by a particular law, then it has to be applicable to everybody. And I think that's what the Uniform Civil Code envisages to do. We have, of course, now at this point of time invited public comments. I think that is the process which will be taking place. We will have to bring about constitutional amendments. So the processes or the way, the dynamics as to how the implementation of the UCC will take place, I think that we will deliberate on a later date. But once we need a consensus, once we invite the public comments, then really we will see how this UCC can be implemented. But one law, one nation, it's like one tax, like the GST, which was the one tax, one nation. Yes. Similarly, and there are draconian provisions in many of the legislations. In fact, since BJP came to power, we have done away with a lot of old, archaic, the legislations which were not really relevant, or which were really more a British era legislation. We have done away with that.
I believe 1,820.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you gave me the numbers, because in an earlier debate, somebody had asked me for the numbers and I was unable to give the numbers. But thank you. Now I will keep
1,820 redundant, obsolete laws have been done away with ever since Mr. Modi came to power.
Absolutely. So I think the time is ripe for the UCC. The dynamics as to how the amendment in the constitution and how it shouldn't be at the same time, a fetter, or it should not really come in the way of the Article 21 or any of the fundamental rights of the citizens. I think those dynamics will have to be worked upon. But certain laws which are, not really women friendly in some religions may have to be scrapped. And more than scrapped, I think we need to bring them under one umbrella. So I think UCC is something which we had always targeted for, and which we had promised, and I think we are working towards it, and the Prime Minister is rather committed to bringing the UCC.
Wonderful, absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
Pradeep ji,
Bajaj Sahab, Aarti ji, the Prime Minister Modi has not only talked about the Uniform Civil Code, he has talked about the Parivarvad, he talked about corruption in this Parivarvad of families. He singled out Sharad Pawar ji also. He says 70,000 crores corruption. He talked combined परिवारवाद का अगर scam आप देखोगे तो 20 लाख करोड़ के ऊपर घोटाला है इस परिवारवाद. He talked about Lalu Yadav. If you talk voting for Lalu Yadav, you're going to help Islam. If you're going to vote for Sharad Pawar, you're going to help Supriya Sule. But if you vote for BJP, your vote for the common man, upliftment of common man. So he was also going on. But that's how he talked about the Pashbanda Muslims. Now this OBC जिस प्रकार से यूपी में एक जबरदस्त उन्होंने सोशल रिफॉर्म कर दिया था, सोशल अपलिफ्टमेंट, सोशल जस्टिस जो प्रोवाइड कर देता, he's probably trying that the Muslim community, whether backward, lower caste Muslim community, Pashbanda Muslims are going to be uplifted through social justice, social reforms and social upliftment.
And the Uniform Civil Code.
Yes, that's a great thing, Arti. I think he talked Parivarvad bhi bol diye.
But this is the first time. But Pradeep ji, Aarti ji, this is the first time that anybody has actually spoken about the Azlaf Muslims, because you have the Ashraf ruling all over the place. The Ashraf are the people who are, all the Sayyids, the Pathans, that is the Khans, the Siddiquis, all the people who have been ruling the roost as far as Muslims are concerned. All those, like the Ansaris, the Pansaris, the Goldsmiths, all those people who are on the lower end, They just don't seem to have any rights as far as these other Muslims go. And this is the first Prime Minister who's actually mentioned that, which is amazing. Aarti ji.
Well, yes, I think the issue of the Pasmanda Muslims is something which the Prime Minister touched upon. Now, in any community or any religion, there is always this one kind of class or community. Like in Hinduism, we have so many castes, and there are, the lower castes which always tend to get marginalized.
Yes.
So we do try to bring about reforms. There are reservations given to them, or for economically backward people, the government takes steps to bring them into the mainstream. So I think similarly, if there are in other religions marginalized communities, then efforts have to be taken to bring them into the mainstream. Efforts have to be taken to uplift them. Efforts have to be taken to see to it that further, any sort of injustice or atrocities are not committed on them. So I think the Prime Minister, with that in mind, has probably identified the Pasmanda Muslims, and that's why he brought this topic. And I'm really happy that, earlier nobody had really thought about them, and now to bring them into the mainstream, or to bring them into the national fold, steps are being taken for that. I think every marginalized community, I think it has to be religion agnostic. Every marginalized community in this country needs to be uplifted. And like I said, that has to be religion agnostic, whether they belong to the Hindu community, Muslim community, Christian community, any religion, any community. I think the marginalized need to be brought into the fold, and equal opportunities need to be created for all alike.
Absolutely. जी प्रदीप जी आप कुछ बोल रहे हैं.
Bajaj साहब, Narendra Modi ji, Prime Minister, he actually singled out Sharad Pawar ji also in the entire Parivarwad debate. He said 70,000 crore, a scam of Sharad Pawar ji. That's what he said. And Sharad Pawar replies back, he says, don't involve Supriya Sule in this. Why are you involving Supriya Sule? And the entire political atmosphere is ignited, where political pundits are saying about the Lavasa scam. Lavasa, they believe, the political pundits say there is enough evidence to believe that Supriya Sule involvement. So, and he has vowed, Mr. Modi has vowed that he will not let these people just loot kaal kiya, loot macha diya, unko main chodunga nahi. Clear cut he has given, just prakar se bole.
So the statement was, Pradeep ji, the statement was very clear.
Yes.
What the statement that Mr. Modi made was, जिन्होंने भारत को लूटा है, उनको छोड़ा नहीं जाएगा. That's what he said. Aarti ji, please. Yes. We would like your comment on this.
Well, I think I don't have to now elaborate further on this. I think Prime Minister Modi ji has always been very vocal about, really trying to stem out corruption from the entire system. And I think he has only reiterated something which he passionately believes in. We are hoping that message comes down, it sort of percolates right down. So I think one has to start by, in that sense, for a lack of better words, catching the big fish. People who have probably perpetrated dynastic politics, people who have probably perpetrated corruption through various agencies, or corruption when they were in power. And if you start in that sense from the top, then the cleanup can happen right up to the bottom. So I think the Prime Minister has reiterated something which he has been always clear about and passionate about. And in that, if references have been made to certain people who have been in positions of power, then I think these names have cropped up. And like I have always pointed out, BJP has never been a party of dynastic politics. We have always emerged, leaders have been thrown from various stratas of society. Prime Minister Modi is a fine example of that.
Yes, absolutely.
And every other party in that sense becomes, if you see most of the regional satraps or most of the other parties have just one person or one family which dominates their ideology or their agenda, and everybody revolves around that. I think BJP as a party has never really done that. We've been a cadre-based party, and because of being a cadre-based party, the best in that sense emerges, and you are not necessarily given positions of power because you belong to an XYZ family. You're attached to the party for an ideology. So
Perfect.
I think it's a
Now over here, Aarti ji, over here, since we are meeting for the first time, after the Prime Minister's visit to the US, and we didn't have a chance to discuss that. I would like your take on the Prime Minister's US visit and what it really meant to you personally. Artiji.
I think the US visit was a rather, momentous visit in terms of geopolitically, strategically, economically, and even otherwise to bolster relationship between India and US. Now, if you see the number of deals which have been really, signed insofar as the defense deals and some other deals, or even technology. In fact, Micron is going to set up a plant in Gujarat, which will be functional by 2024. So economically, I think that is one big step towards the India-US relationship. Secondly, even strategically, the joint statement which has been issued by Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Biden on the Chinese influence, I think that also sends out a very strong message geopolitically that a strong nation like India and a strong nation like US will not in that sense encourage any sort of autocracy taking over major democracies in the country, which at the same time, though India has very formal relationship with Russia, but I think giving out a message to China by two strong democracies also, gives out a very strong message into the world politics. And I think thirdly, the warm welcome or the stupendous welcome which Prime Minister Modi got in America just goes to show how tall a leader he is in the entire world polity. In fact, every meeting or every occasion that the Prime Minister went for, he was hailed as one of the most popular leaders. I think not very many leaders world over have this kind of popularity, and they enjoy this kind of support as Prime Minister Modi has seen. It has been overwhelming.
Absolutely.
So I think all in all, the visit to US has been a very, it's been a momentous visit, and it is quite a defining moment. In fact, even the Prime Minister's speech in the United Assembly was
fantastic,
rather fantastic. Yeah, it was very inspiring, and he's given out certain strong messages. Look at the fact from giving out a message even as important as on Yoga Day, that nobody can patent yoga.
Yes.
To, because there was a suit by, this very famous yoga person, Mr. Bikram Yoga, to really patent certain asanas. And then he said, we have opened up yoga to the whole world. Nobody can patent it. Nobody can own yoga. In a sense, to say that yoga is open for all, and at the same time protecting the real roots of what India has given to the world. So, on so many fronts, point I'm trying to make is on so many fronts, the Prime Minister has made an impact. So I think the India-US or the US trip or the US visit of Prime Minister has great significance in today's political...
So 15 standing ovations, ma'am, 15 standing ovations.
Yes,
and the joint sitting of the US Congress, both the House of Representatives and the Senators, they clapped 76 times.
Absolutely.
That's what people counted.
And, in fact, there was a list of words which the Prime Minister used on several occasions, and the word democracy figured so many times in his speech. In fact, Times of India ran an article to say that how often the Prime Minister used certain words. So I think even the inclusiveness of his speech. So I think, and no world leader today enjoys this kind of popularity as the Prime Minister Modi.
Right.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong.
But the opposition, by the way, is clutching at straws all over the place. So they're hanging on to one question from a reporter of the Wall Street Journal. They're hanging on to something else. So where do you think they're going with this? I don't understand. I feel very proud that look at my Prime Minister, look at the way, Joe Biden and the First Lady Jill Biden, look at the way they are welcoming my Prime Minister. Look at the joint sitting of the Congress and look at the way my Prime Minister is being treated. I mean, come on. Where do you think these guys are going with this? Aarti ji.
I've always said, I think I've said it so many times even on your debate, that they are, really scrambling for an agenda to, oppose BJP. One and most important thing is that they're all ideologically different. they don't really come together on ideological basis. Their only ideology is to get BJP out and get Prime Minister Modi. That can't be the ideology. That is almost a kind of a hate politics or a jealousy politics. Your ideology stems from the fact that you want to do something for the people of India. Your ideology cannot be to be an anti BJP or an anti Modi ideology on which you all come together as a common platform. So I think to begin with, their whole idea of coming together to begin with itself is wrong. Secondly, when they see this kind of popularity which Mr. Modi enjoys, or the various steps that the Prime Minister has taken, or the entire 9 years in which he has showcased the kind of development work that has taken place in India. In fact, I was fortunate enough to go for a recent seminar where Honorable Minister Gadkari ji was there, and he gave the statistical figures as to the number of roads that have been completed in India in the last 9 years. And I mean, it's phenomenal under the
Yes.
PPP model, the BOT model. So I think, your work speaks for itself. And because they don't have anything to oppose the BJP, what best way but to come together and scramble for an agenda? So I think that's what the opposition are doing. They are worried because now 2024 is soon there. In a matter of few months, we will be facing another election where I think they see that their defeat is quite imminent. So they need some sort of platform to come together. So I think that's what they are doing. I don't see them really garnering much support out of this kind of alliance.
Pradeep ji.
Bajaj Saab, Aarti ji, Jairam Ramesh, the Indian National Congress has a problem. And the problem is what Mr. Bajaj Saab said, that the Wall Street journalist is being trolled. That's what Jairam Ramesh is saying today, that the Wall Street journalist is being trolled. This is not in the interest of the country. Again, he comes to the same fact that Rahul Gandhi says, Loktantra khatre mein hai. Some people are being targeted. Opposition is being targeted. He has absolute sympathy for the Wall Street journalists. The Indian National Congress has absolute sympathy for the Wall Street journalists who asked the question. Exactly, who asked questions to Mr. Modi, and Modi gave a fantastic answer. Now, minority appeasement has been, the Muslim appeasement has been a successful Karnataka experiment which the Congress wants to take pan-India. RTG, how is the BJP intending to, counter this kind of an appeasement politics and consolidation of Muslim votes?
No, I think, the Prime Minister himself in the speech said that we do not believe in appeasement politics. He used two specific words, and I'm not getting that santushtata or something. I'm not getting those words correctly in Hindi. But his point was that we are not into appeasement. We are into development, and those who want to do appeasement politics can continue doing appeasement politics. In fact, Karnataka is a prime example where the Muslim voters were really misled by the Congress just to appease them. Congress has been known for appeasement politics since last 70 years. They have been only doing that. Congress on the BJP on the other hand never appeases. In fact, there would be some decisions of the BJP which may not have gone down well amongst many classes and many stratas of the society or religions. But at the same time, we are not into vote bank politics. We are not into appeasement politics, and hence that UCC assumes more significance, that everybody should be equal under law. Everybody should be equal in the constitution. Congress can continue doing that, and Congress will do that. Maybe their Karnataka experiment may have given them short-term benefits, but I don't think in the long run, this politics is something which is healthy for a democracy like India.
But really to round off, what the Prime Minister said today also about what took place in Patna with regard to the opposition meeting, what he said was, and he said this, and I quote him almost exactly, कि जो अभी तक पानी पी पी के एक दूसरे को गालियां दिया करते थे, एक दूसरे पर जहर उगला करते थे, आज एक दूसरे को साष्टांग प्रणाम कर रहे हैं. This is what the Prime Minister said. And he also said effectively that they're all coming together because they're all very scared that all their misdeeds are going to be exposed. Aarti ji, one final word from you.
Yeah, like I said, I think this is just a scare. This is a mixture of various things. Being scared or not really having a common program to go ahead with. At the same time, being jealous of all the, more than jealous, not being able to what they couldn't do in the last 65 years. I think we have shown it in the last 9 years. So what best way to counter it? It is like have unholy alliances all over the place. Like in Maharashtra, there are unholy alliances. Even if you have had ideological differences in the past, even if you all are on no ground, you all have any common ground. So we need to find a common ground. And the common ground is BJP bashing or Modi bashing. So I think they are coming together only on these very, very weak grounds. The people are very smart enough to see all these things, and the 2024 elections will, I'm sure, expose this. And we don't really need to do anything. I think I've always said that the Indian polity, the Indian democracy, the Indian voters are extremely smart. They know exactly who is delivering and who is not delivering, and they do not get fooled by any sort of false or wrong promises. They need work, they need a leader who delivers, and they are seeing the leader who delivers, and they will bring that leader back to power.
Absolutely. So which means we are looking at 350 plus again in the Lok Sabha elections 2024? 350 plus? Is that what we are looking at?
I hope so. I hope so. I hope so.
Aarti Sadeji, lovely talking to you again. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us. So nice of you.
Thank you.
Namaskar.
Bye-bye.
Vande Mataram.
Namaskar.
Vande Mataram.
Vande Mataram.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now, wasn't that lovely?